Customer Cleaning winds of the Far Coast. Once again, welcome to the latest video. We'll talk a little bit today about ultimately, you know, self-employed mindset, growing, and basically just trying to keep things as simple as you can keep them. As anybody who watches the channel will probably be aware by now, I'm a simple guy. I like simple. Simple is good. People have this, you know, perception about sort of building something from the ground up and then growing it outwards to encompass and bring in other people as being this all-consuming, complicated machine that is ultimately, you know, designed to bring you down. And it's not the case. A lot of times I hear people sort of say things like, you know, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that, I'm not sure about this, what are your thoughts on that? And all this sort of, you know, good stuff. When it comes to starting a business, you can take a lot of the stress off yourself by asking the question, you know, who, not how. Instead of asking yourself, how do I grow a business that has multiple employees, multiple vehicles? How do I do all that? Ask yourself, who is it that I need to speak to get advice, to enable what I need? It's a powerful distinction, because rather than sort of saying it's one big shit sandwich and it's all yours and it's your problem, you can sort of leverage out everything that you need to know to get to where you want to be. The biggest drawback I find with people that want to start and grow a business is ultimately they think they've got to take on the burden of everything themselves. Now, yeah, for sure, you need to take on the responsibility of growing that business. No one's going to do it for you. It doesn't mean you've got to do it alone. Take, for example, you know, the number of people I have in my business that help me on pretty much a day-to-day, week-by-week kind of basis. Now, they ain't going to do it for free, but you can learn a lot of lessons. I read a lot of books. I try to read, if I'm being honest, I don't read as much as I used to. I try and read at least one book a month if I can, okay, and dedicate some time in the evening to reading a book or something like that, okay. One of the books I have read, which sort of impressed me, to be honest with you, was Duncan Bannatyne's book about how he grew his empire. Now, Duncan Bannatyne is one of these people, I'm sure those of you that watch Dragon's Den are aware of who this guy is, you know. But for those who are uninitiated, who don't know anything about him, Duncan Bannatyne ultimately came out of the Navy in the 60s, was pretty much on his arse end when it comes to money. And obviously everybody sees him on Dragon's Den as the finished article, but they don't truly know that much about the guy, how he started out and all this sort of stuff. They just assume a guy in a suit, got millions and millions of pounds in the bank, it's always been that way, jobs are good. And it's not the case. Duncan Bannatyne is one of the most successful people in the UK. He's now got gyms, but he's popular, known for owning Bannatyne's gyms, of which I am a member, by the way, the one in Blackpool. If you know, you know. He owns Bannatyne's Health and Leisure, which runs gyms and all that sort of stuff. But he didn't start there. No. Before that, he got into building care homes in the 80s and raising the level of, he helped, you know, bring up the level of care to the elderly. Without people like Duncan Bannatyne, you know, you used to have this image of care homes where multiple sort of residents would share a room, share a toilet facilities, they'd be akin to third world conditions. Duncan Bannatyne saw a gap in the market where people could ultimately send their elderly people into a care home that would ultimately cater for, they would have ensuite rooms, private rooms and all this sort of stuff. And a lot of other care homes have followed that model, okay, where he has revolutionised the care industry. But he didn't start there. No, no, no. Before that, he owned 28 ice cream vans. And before that, he owned one. He built his ice cream empire up from one ice cream van. And he did a lot of the work himself. And he revolutionized ultimately how he, you know, carried out business and grew his little empire, if you like, by simply asking the question, who, not how. In the early days, he was doing things like, I'll do my own tax return, I'll do my own sort of planning applications, you know, if I want to build this, then I'll do that, and blah blah. And eventually he come to the realization that he needed help. When you look at that, a person who with that stature, a person who at one point was like me and you know, a guy from, you know, Scotland, you know, with very little in the way of money, yeah, starts an ice cream business, builds up a little empire, sells that business, uses that money to ultimately start a care business, opens up a massive chain of care homes, sells, you know, goes to the stock market, you know, floats money on the stock market, buys his shares out of that, and then starts, you know, Bannatyne Health and Leisure, and now the guy's a millionaire, you know. The biggest step, in my humble opinion, having read the book, and I'll leave a link in the description for the book, is that he realised fairly early on that you cannot do it alone. The idea that every man is an island and, you know, self-made millionaire and all this sort of stuff, there's no such thing. If someone has become a millionaire, having started with nothing and built themselves up, somewhere along the line, that guy's asked for help. Somewhere along the line, that guy's asked for advice. Somewhere along the line, he's had to go out and find out that information to enable him to facilitate the next step. Now, I'm not saying that every man and his dog who's a window cleaner, you know, is going to grow a business of that size. I certainly am not, by the way. But if I can learn the lessons of really, really successful people like Duncan Bannatyne, like Lord Sugar, like Richard Branson, you know, if I can learn some small lesson that makes my life easier, do you think I'm going to take it? Abso-freaking-lutely I am. So bringing it back in, if you like, to our level, us humble window cleaners, us humble sole traders, okay? What lessons can we bring from that? And it's ultimately this, is leveraging out services that help improve your business. So for example, with me, I have Mark from Mark Safety, who does my health and safety, who does my risk assessments, who will do, you know, things like keep, you know, my Chaz applications and stuff like that. You know, he helps me for that. I literally pay him a monthly retainer to help me with that. If I need him, pick up the phone and go, Mark, help. And he will. Why? Because it's his job. Now, it works out as a small fee every month. But I like having that peace of mind, knowing that I have an expert on call, you know, in the event of an emergency. Mark, I need help with this. Can you clarify this? Why? Because he's the expert. In the same respect, I have Simon from Turner & Brown, who is my accountant, who understands very complicated sort of tax law and, you know, the structure of companies and all this sort of stuff. Now, if I was to know what Simon knows, I would have to go and do what Simon has done. I would have to go to university, I would have to work within an accountancy practice and all this sort of stuff. It's like, dude, I'm a window cleaner. I left school with no qualifications whatsoever. You're a clever guy. How's about I pay you, you help me, and we'll both succeed together? How's that sound? This is what it's all about. It's building relationships with people that can ultimately help you out. Andy Witts, he does my SEO, which ultimately helps boost my SEO ranking online and bring in inquiries from Google and from Facebook and from Instagram, all this sort of stuff. It boosts the profile. Now, I'm not the sort of person that goes viral, but the thing is, I haven't got time to be doing a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of the other. Oh, and by the way, in between doing your health and safety and your accountancy and all the things like your self-assessment and all this sort of stuff, and don't forget your RAMs, or don't forget your cost sheets and blah, blah, blah. In between all of that, I've actually got to go out and make money as a window cleaner, you know, because no one's going to pay me to do my health and safety, are they? Steve Jobs was, you know, had it smack bang on the head. Employ clever people and then get out the way. You know, don't micromanage people. Ask experts for advice. Don't be afraid to ask questions, to ask for answers to questions that you have no idea what the answers are. You know, being humble enough to admit that you don't know everything, you know, that will make you go a long way. Instead of asking yourself, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? How the hell am I going to get over that problem? Yeah, ask yourself, who can help me with this? There are a number of people, again, so there's Simon, there's Mark, there is Chadwick Insurances, because they go out and find all my insurance policies. I'm too busy to be trolling through Google, looking for the best van insurance, not interested. Looking for public liability insurance, not interested. Looking for employers liability insurance, not interested. I will ring Chadwick's and I will literally turn around and say, you know, guys, I need to, you know, find the best insurance. This is what I want for cover. I want this, I want that, I want the other. I need this level of cover for this, blah, blah, blah. Can you help me? Yeah, sure, we can do that. No dramas, Chris. Give us to the end of the day. We'll have an answer for you. Done. While they're doing that in the background, I'm out doing what makes me money, which is ultimately managing the business, doing a couple of days on the tools, etc., and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. You can't do it all. Don't try. If I did even do it all myself, then what would happen is that it would draw my time down to the point where I spend the vast majority of my time doing everything else in the background. And then I'd spend a small amount of time making money cleaning windows. As a as a one-man band, let's say. If I was a one-man band and I had to do it all over again, yeah, the lesson that I would take away from this would be simply, you know, do not be afraid to bring in people cleverer than you to assist you with problems you don't have the answers to. It's quicker, easier, simpler, and a better use of your time to pay other people to take those problems off your plate. Doing your tax return is important, but it ain't going to make you money. Doing your health and safety is very important if you don't want to end up in court, but it ain't going to make you money. You have to understand where the areas in your business that make you money, and you have to understand the areas in your business that ultimately need to happen, but are going to take up your time to the point that it's going to limit your ability or limit your time to make as much money as you need to do before you grow. And I think that is part of a massive part of, you know, growing the business. You're looking at this generation of new business owners who ultimately are so used to the idea of, you know, swipe left for this, you know, order that from your phone, internet this, technology that. This is the answer to my problem, is technology. But guess what? People of my generation who had a life before the internet and after the internet, I'm 41 years old, right? People like me who, you know, remember the days before internet, learned how to form relationships, learned how to ask questions, learned how to, you know, sort of build rapport with people. And my ability, if you like, to build rapport with the likes of Simon, who's my accountant, with the likes of Mark, who is my health and safety guy, with the likes of, you know, all the guys at Chadwick Insurances, my ability, if you like, to sort of network and talk and articulate and communicate and listen, yeah, that has been a massive gift to me, in the sense that, you know, my whole world is a lot simpler than how some of the younger generation see it. They see that you can ultimately press a button and solve a problem. Guess what? It's not always the case. And I would say to anybody looking to sort of grow a business, the best question you could ever ask yourself is who, not how. Well, thanks for enduring to the end of the video. If you've got this far, I'll leave links in the descriptions to the book, Duncan Bannatyne's book. I'll leave a link in the description to all the people that have helped me in terms of health and safety, accountancy, and insurances, to name but a few. As usual, thank you for sharing, and subscribing to the channel, and I shall see you all in the next video. Keep on keeping on.